Hey my loves, today I am doing a really creepy story time video because I was going to do a Disney conspiracy video, which please let me know if you guys still want me to do that. I have a lot of thoughts about Disney and I don't know. I just really wanted to do like a video about Disney conspiracies that I thought were really interesting. And it reminded me of this really weird experience I actually had at Disney that I want to tell you guys about because I swear to God, I can't find anything about it online. Because when I remembered this experience, I was like, oh my God, I wonder if that's like a known thing. Like, I wonder if that's something I could talk about in the video and like have an experience with, because this is a normal thing that happens at Disney. But I researched it and nothing came up. I feel like it was 7th grade because I was being taught by my dad, and it was a band Disney trip obviously, but before that I actually went with my church like youth group. It's not that I think we were incredibly good singers, I think that our church just had a lot of money to spend on the program, and we wound up doing a tour in the summer, like right before my band trip. One of the places that we were going to be performing at in this church choir was Disney World, and it was actually the year that Hurricane Katrina hit because our New Orleans like performance was canceled, which is so scary to think back on, and that's probably another story in itself. But anyways, we had made our stop at Disney World, and I think that what was happening was we were spending 3 days there and 2 nights, because we spent 1 night there and we had kind of like wandered around the park that day. Like, we got in, dropped off our stuff, went to the park, slept, and then the next day was our performance, and then after our performance we were allowed to do whatever we wanted, and then the day after that we were gonna leave and move on to like the next place or whatever. So I had, done Disney the day before, had a blast. It had been so long. I think that the last time I had done Disney was when I was a baby, and I threw up all over so many people in Epcot. Again, that's probably for another time. So I had already done the park, and it was really hot for sure. I don't know if this had a lot to play into what happened, but I mean, this was Disney World in Florida. So it was really warm. This had to be like May or June or something. My mom was the pianist for this church group, and that was what I wanted to say is this time around I went with my mom. The next trip I'm going to talk about where the really spooky thing happened was with my dad. But in the church trip with my mom, I obviously have her there. She's staying in a hotel with me. She's chaperoning. She's also going to be with me at the performance. But since my mom works so hand in hand with this choir director, that looked weird. That's not hand in hand, this is hand in hand. A lot of the times I got solos, and I was doing a lot of harder parts because I was like classically trained for singing. Not that I have an incredible voice and I would go on to like do music in my day-to-day life, because I think that you have to have a certain sound today, but for sure I understand singing from a musical perspective, and from a choir perspective that was good. So I had some solos and I was feeling really nervous, and I thought that that was why I was feeling so sick the day of our performance. There's like an amphitheater area where people perform, like, church choirs and bands and I don't know, whoever the heck wants to perform at Disney. So we're like backstage at this thing, and I think we're going on in like 10 minutes. And out of nowhere, I'm like, Mom, my stomach really hurts. I thought I was just nervous. I think I'm going to be sick. I can't go on stage. And she's so used to me at this point, like freaking out right before a performance. And she's like, no, you're fine. You're good. You will be okay. You have to go on. Like, you are the only one who knows this solo. And to answer her, I opened my mouth to say something, and I projectile vomit everywhere. One of the church members with us on this group literally picked me up off the ground and carried me so that I could be sick over the balcony. But I mean, I just threw up everywhere. Backstage at Disney essentially, and I felt so bad. The employees were also nice, like they quickly like just cleaned it up and kind of got everyone out of the area, but they were so sweet. Like, they brought me water, and I was so embarrassed. Like, I was crying. I was so upset that I couldn't go on stage and do my performance. So I guess essentially they had like arranged transportation to take me back to the hotel, and so my mom could not go with me. So she sent me with one of the church members, the same guy who had like literally helped me so that I wasn't projectile vomiting all over backstage. He wound up going with me back to the room, and he kind of like helped me get into the room, and I'm like, I guess 12 or 13 at this point, so I was a little bit older. So when he let me know that he was going back to the performance area, I wasn't really worried. He had made sure the hotel was securely locked. Like, he made sure that I deadbolted the door after he left. But I had like Gatorade and stuff that the Disney people had helped us get. So I was just sleeping in the bed, and I was so hot. That's all I remember, was being so hot. It felt like I had the flu, but it was the middle of summer. So I'm not sure if this was a hallucination or not. Mom took my temperature when she got back to the hotel room, and I remember my temperature was like 103, or like it was ridiculously high. So this could certainly be a hallucination, and I'm not ruling that out, but something really weird happened while I was in that hotel room. We were staying in, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Disney World, but there are like different hotel suites, and we were staying on the property at Disney. And this suite, I don't know what it's called, but it's the musical suite. Like, I remember there being music notes everywhere. Like, on the outside, there was a really big pool area, and it was all music themed. I heard someone singing, and I kind of thought, okay, like I'm dreaming, or I wasn't really conscious. I wasn't thinking much of anything, but I heard like really quiet, like whispered singing. And so I'm kind of like looking around, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck happened, and the TV is on, and I had not turned it on, and I'm like absolutely positive that the church member that had brought me into the room had not turned it on either, because I just wanted to sleep. Like, I wanted silence, my head hurt, everything hurt, and I just wanted it to be quiet. And my mom hadn't come back into the room. No one was there because the door was still like dead bolted. And so I'm kind of like looking around, and I'm really groggy, and I don't understand why the TV is on. Whatever is happening on the TV, it's talking. It's not this singing that I'm hearing. And so I'm just like, I'm really not thinking much of anything. I kind of like roll back over to go back to sleep. And right when I do, off in the corner, so here's the bed where I am. The TV is directly in front of me in like a little dresser area right here. And then off in this corner, I see like a shadowy figure. It's it's hard to explain. It wasn't like a solidified like shadow person, because I've never actually seen like a solid like mass of black or anything like that. Like, that's never really happened to me. Anytime that I've seen something that I'm not sure of, it's always very like, you can see an outline. Like, this dark figure, I could see through it to the like corner of the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see the details of the wall, but I could see it there. And for some reason in my head, I registered that it was a woman, and I don't know if that makes any sense. There was something female about it, and I feel like people are gonna call me crazy, but it was this figure off in the corner of the room, and I could feel it staring at me. I thought I was hallucinating. I thought I was dreaming. I was like, you're being crazy. No one's there. I tried to convince myself no one was there. So I kind of like go back to sleep. And as I'm laying there, this really quiet singing gets louder and louder and louder. And when I open my eyes, it stops, and the like shadowy person in the corner of the room is gone. So that was really weird, and it didn't happen again. Like, I still don't know what that was. I don't know if it was a hallucination. I don't know if my brain was like fried because of the fever that I had, but it was so weird, and I feel like it was paranormal. So flash forward 2 months, and I'm going back to Disney, and I'm really excited to kind of like redo my Disney adventure. School was back in at this point, and I was going with my band group as well as my dad this time, and that was really cool because I had gone with my mom. Now I get to go with my dad. I feel like this was probably the biggest field trip I'd ever been on. And so one of the rides I was most excited to ride was Pirates of the Caribbean, and I had a very strong fondness for Jack Sparrow. I loved Pirates of the Caribbean, the movies. Okay, so this is the thing. When I remembered what happened when I was on this ride, I searched everywhere for proof of this. No one else has ever had this experience except me and the people that were with me on that ride. So Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of like a water ride. Like, you're in a little boat, and you basically go through a scene of like a pirate town, and like that's the whole thing. Is it's a peek into like this pirate town, and Jack Sparrow is tied into it, and Pirates of the Caribbean, like the movies, are based off of the ride. Remember that I was like 12 or 13 when this happened, so I don't have the clearest memory, but I know the gist of this. So if I'm getting details wrong, like it's not made up, it's just because it has been so long and I cannot find a photo online of this scene. So we're going through the ride, we're having fun. My friends and I are all obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean. So we get to this part of the ride where there are three Jack Sparrow animatronics. 2 of them are in barrels, and then the third one is standing off to the side. At least I feel like that's what it was. If I'm getting that wrong, I'm really sorry. So the time before that I had ridden this, like I knew the whole scene that played out, and I knew that Jack Sparrow, like the standing one, was kind of like looking around, and he said a little blurb to the people in the boats, I think. think, I don't remember. And then the ones in the barrels kind of like would poke their heads out and stuff like that. So I remember the first time around, the standing Jack Sparrow animatronic was very phony, and like it made me laugh because the movements on it were not realistic. Like the way that the animatronic moved was not realistic. And so I'm like telling my friends, because they've never seen it before, like this is so funny, like watch him move. And we're all like yelling at this animatronic because we're the only boat that's occupied in this like area of the ride. So we're giggling, we're teasing the animatronic, like the standing Jack Sparrow animatronic. And it was the weirdest thing in the entire world, you guys. Like, I cannot get this visual out of my head. It was really weird because we had just yelled at it and it twisted its head around in like reaction. Like, okay, so our boat had passed him at this point. So he's here and he whips his head like towards us and looks at us. And I literally watched his eyes dart from person to person to person. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't an animatronic. Like, this is a live action actor. And when he saw us, like, we all stopped laughing immediately when we realized, like, this wasn't an animatronic. And I turned to my friend and I was like, are you seeing this? Is this a real person? Is this supposed to happen? Because it didn't happen for me. And like, I'm whispering this to my friend and I'm feeling kind of scared. The ride stops. There was some sort of technical issue. It came over the intercom. We're sorry, you know, like we will get moving again in a minute. But we're just sitting there listening to this music playing and staring at this person that we're like 99% sure is a real person and not an animatronic. He stands there completely still and stares at us for a minute and then takes off running down the set, like runs down the set, and he disappears around the corner. And like, we're positive at this point this is not an animatronic. Like, an animatronic could not move the way that this dude was moving. So I Googled this and nobody talks about there being like a live action or like a real actor in this ride. So I don't know if like the animatronic broke, if they had to have a real person in there. I don't know who this was. I don't know what this was about. But I remember being like terrified for some reason, which it wasn't even that big of a deal, but I don't know, like you go through these rides and I never would think that anyone there was real. Like, I thought it was all animatronics and robots and stuff, and here's this person who's like flesh and blood in this ride for some reason. Clearly it was someone dressed up as Jack Sparrow. I should quickly mention that. It wasn't just like a random person standing up there. So I don't know what that was about. I've never figured it out. I swear to you, I have Googled this. I can't find anything on it. So if you've ever had an experience like this at all, or any creepy Disneyland or Disney World experiences, make sure to comment them down below. I'm gonna go ahead and end the story time now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you've not already. I love you guys so much and I will see you next time. Bye.